And welcome back to The Watchman from the great city of London. You see the legendary River Thames behind me. Folks, this is one of the great cities of Western civilization. Such an incredible history and lineage here in Great Britain. So how, considering the great history, considering the history of democracy and freedom in this country, how in the world did an openly anti-Israel politician by the name of Jeremy Corbyn very nearly become Prime Minister of the UK recently? Well, we spoke to the director of a great organization here in the UK called the Israel-Britain Alliance. His name is Michael McCann. He's a former member of the British Parliament, and he is a bold, outspoken voice for Israel at a time when it's not very popular to do that here in the United Kingdom. Take a look. For supporters of Israel, Jeremy Corbyn is a problematic figure, to say the least. Tell us a little bit about him and what he stands for when it comes to Israel, and I guess you would say foreign policy in general.
Well, I have to tell you, Eric, that the election result here was just as much a shock to the people in the United Kingdom as it would have been to the people of the United States. 4 out of 10 people voted for Jeremy Corbyn. In terms of foreign policy, he supports Hamas, he supports Hezbollah, he supports any terrorist group against any Western democracy. In truth, he supports anyone who doesn't like the United Kingdom and the United States of America. That's Jeremy Corbyn.
This is a man, Michael, who said that, who referred to Hamas and Hezbollah as his friends.
Absolutely, but not even too far away from these shores. He supported the provisional IRA. You know, terrorists who blew up people, who maimed and killed people. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so therefore, his support for terror is extremely well known. And ultimately, his hatred for Israel is also deeply known by everyone who knows British politics. But we are where we are, and we have to hope that the Conservatives, alongside the Democratic Unionists, who are staunch defenders of both the Union and of the State of Israel.
That's right, the party based out of Northern Ireland,
That's
right?
correct, yeah. I mean, there's some very good friends of mine in there, Nigel Dodds, Jim Shannon, great supporters of Israel who have helped the people in that place just behind us in the House of Commons. So, you know, there's been a few dark clouds about the election result, but there's a few silver linings as well, Eric.
You run a great organization called the Israel-Britain Alliance. Why should the average Brit, the average American, the average person here in the West care about Israel? Why do you do what you do?
There is the theological element of it in terms of Christianity and the undoubted connections between Christianity and Judaism. You know, they're well read, and you know, people will know all about those issues, and I defer to people who know far more about that than me. But look what Israel has achieved since 1948. Look at the Nobel Prize winners that it's given us. Look at the medical advances that it's given us, the scientific advances. Look at the democracy that it's given us. Now, would you expect a Muslim country to allow Christians to practice their faith, to allow Jews to practice their faith? That's what Israel has given us. It's a fantastic country. We know that if you visit Israel, you can see it for yourself, and I would urge everyone who can to do so, to visit that fantastic country. But that's why the Israel-Britain Alliance wants to celebrate our relationship with Israel, because it's a fantastic country, it's got great people, it wants to live in peace, but it's been prevented from living in peace by organisations like Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran and all the country that want to see it off the face of the earth. We're out to stop them, and we're going to win.
From 2010 to 2015, you were a member of Parliament here. Talk about some of the interesting interactions you had and the views on Israel in Parliament here.
Well, let me tell you the fundamental problem at the heart of British politics when it comes to the Middle East. The Foreign Office, which is just over that direction, the Foreign Office wants to have a relationship with all the Arab countries. Yeah. It sells them things. It sells them aeroplanes, it sells them weapons, and it wants to maintain that relationship for economic reasons. So what has become the foreign policy of choice is that they'll tell Israel, and they'll say in Parliament, it's terrible the way the Palestinians are treated, and Israel should be proportionate, you know, a word that's used pretty often. And then privately they'll say to Israel, oh, we didn't really mean that. So they're trying to play both sides. They're trying to play both sides. And I'm sorry, you can't play both sides when you're talking about the Middle East. You're either for good or you're for bad. And the bottom line is, there is only one good actor in the Middle East, the only democracy in the Middle East, that's the State of Israel.
That's right. Michael, last question. The UK, obviously, Great Britain has a great history. You could say the Christian Zionist movement began here in Great Britain. There's been a great history. This is the 100-year anniversary of the Balfour Declaration now in 2017. Talk a little bit about what that history means to you as a pro-Israel activist.
Well, first things first, Eric, your listeners and your viewers will know that this is not an English accent. Although we're filming this in London, I'm from Scotland and I'm from the city of Glasgow, so that's where I come from. And people should remember that Arthur James Balfour, who signed the Balfour Declaration on the 2nd of November 1917, was a Scot. He was a Scottish politician, and he did so because of his very strong Christian beliefs. And I'm very proud that our country, the United Kingdom, played a significant role in the path that led to the rebirth, not the creation, the rebirth of the State of Israel, the Partition Agreement in 1947, and then ultimately dependence declared by David Ben-Gurion in May 1948. Exceptionally proud of that, because, as I mentioned earlier, look what Israel has given to our world since.
Michael, thank you so much. Keep up the great work, my friend. We really appreciate it. God bless you. Thanks again to our good friend Michael McCann for joining us. He's a bold Scotsman, and we love the work he's doing with the Israel-Britain Alliance. Check them out online, folks. You see their URL right there on your screen. Well, coming up after the break, we've told you what CUFI is doing here in the UK, but what about TBN? We spent time at TBN's London studio to break down the work that the Watchman is doing here in London, in Israel, and beyond. Stick around.